Hi, everybody. Welcome back or welcome to another episode of Ship It and Sip It. This week, I'm excited to have a series of interviews with the founders that we are helping in the first cohort of the Paralect Startup Bootcamp. And one of those founders is Sam Cholera. Welcome to the show, Sam. How's your Friday?
Going really well, thank you, John. Thanks for asking. We're winning today, so can't complain with that.
Fantastic. It's great to see founders winning. So your startup idea that you've entered into the bootcamp with is called PT Fitness. Tell us a little bit about the idea itself.
No problem at all. So PT Fitness Coach is essentially an exclusive community for personal trainers and fitness professionals to grow their business.
Right on. And where did the inspiration for this product come from?
Just prior to COVID, so I'm type 2 diabetic, and I just decided just before COVID that I wanted to get some more exercise in, and my form of exercise, my chosen form of exercise, was going to the gym. So I started going into the gym, realised after about 4 or 5 months, realised quite quickly that I was going nowhere at all, just going around in circles. So I employed the use of a personal trainer. COVID hit and I went back to doing zero again. As COVID then let go, I went back into the gym, picked up what I'll say where I was, started again, but with a personal trainer, and realised just how far I'm actually getting, and was appreciative that not only what I was learning, how I was changing, how my mindset was changing, but they put years on my life. They just changed everything about what I was doing and how I was doing it in the gym and outside of the gym, and have kept me on earth, for longer years with my kids. So I always had an entrepreneurial mind, and I wanted to I was just seeing loads of gaps in the market, and I started speaking to the personal trainers at that particular gym, and just started noting down in a book of things that they weren't getting, that the environment that they were working in wasn't providing for them. And one thing led to another. I went down a bit of a rabbit hole, and everything just seemed to be popping out to me, that what sort of things they didn't have access to, and that led me to here.
Right on. So I guess I'm very curious about this. I've been going to the gym and exercising myself, and I haven't used a personal trainer, but it does seem to me, I know quite a few coaches, running coaches, things like that. So I'm very interested in the space. It seems that everybody sort of uses a mishmash of messenger apps to communicate with clients, gets paid in cash or Venmo or whatever payment app. So what is the specific solution or pain point that you want to kind of tackle first?
The first thing I wanted to do is that what I noticed within the gym environment is that the personal trainers, they may all be friends, but they don't share their top secret. Now, for me in life, I always like to think that for my top secret in life, whatever that might be, if I give that top secret to 100 people, chances are, and most entrepreneurs know, VCs would know that people don't action that advice. They take it in, goes one ear and out the other. So me giving one piece of advice to 100 people, not going to affect my life or my business in any way. But if 100 people give me their top piece of advice and I implemented even a portion of it, anything I'm doing is going to go through the roof. So the same principle going back to personal trainers, if I'm able to create a community where they can help themselves, they can ask the questions. You might have a particular personal trainer who has a long-standing client, 5 days a week, first thing in the morning, let's say 7 a.m. in the morning. But 4 out of 5 Mondays, the guy cancels. And when them cancelling, it's great. The personal trainer still gets paid, but they have to wake up early. They have to get into work early. They have to be ready. And then they're sitting around normally twiddling their thumbs. So what could they do about that? Now, I don't have the answer because I'm not a personal trainer and I haven't come across these problems. Personal trainers around the world will have the answer and how to overcome this. So the idea is to create a safe environment where they can ask each other questions and learn from each other. Like with anything, you mentioned about not having a personal trainer before. After having used a personal trainer, I see it as like sending your child to school but with no teachers. They might have everything there, the books, the computers, the environment to work in, but where they're going to get to the end, get to their exams, it's just going to be all a lot slower. If you've got the right people, the experts to help you in any particular industry, you're already winning and you're halfway there. So that was the idea, is to create a safe environment where personal trainers who walk out and have their certificate, they've just qualified as a personal trainer, level 1, level 2, 3, 4, whatever it might be, walk out of the school, have a certificate in their hand, get into a gym environment, and then it's rabbit in headlights, got no idea what to do because they don't know how to implement a business strategy into the personal training environment. So the idea was to create a safe space that everyone can grow, whatever stage they're at within their personal training career, can grow and take that further.
Interesting. So what other solutions have you looked at in this space, and why do you think that they don't fit the needs of personal trainers right now?
So there are some communities online. I personally, in business, whenever I look at something, I like it when there's competitors out there. One, it keeps you on your toes, but two, you can see what they're doing and not doing right. I like to look at problems and tend to reverse engineer them and find out why it's not working for everybody or for the majority of people. I don't believe that you can ever create a solution for everybody. If you look down that route and trying to make sure it's correct for absolutely everybody, you're not making it right for anybody at all. So there are Facebook groups. A lot of demographic don't use Facebook. I mean, most people probably as a majority under the age of probably 35 to 40 are not on Facebook at all. Might be on Instagram, but not there. There are other groups on LinkedIn, but again, LinkedIn, most personal trainers are not on LinkedIn as a percentage. And that's one of the things that I'm going to be trying to help them with, because I do use LinkedIn a lot, and that's where their user persona is for their clients. And that we're using, and the other thing that they tend to have experts, if you like, in inverted commas, mentors, where personal trainers are then paying thousands of pounds to find out the information from one particular person. And if you're going to find it out from one person, it's always going to be through rose-tinted glasses and through one perspective. So my idea was create an environment where they can communicate and network with each other globally. And nowadays, that is, having a community environment and making them feel it's a safe space for them just to let go and ask what they believe might be the silliest question. But chances are that if they're thinking that question, there's thousands and thousands of other personal trainers who have exactly the same problem.
Right on. And according to what you've shared so far, just this week on Twitter, you've been going out and talking with PTs directly, probably also at the gym that you go to. So have you gotten any feedback so far on the idea, and what was that like?
That was good. I mean, it's always, I'm always one to not try and sell the features, go with the benefits, and just trying to find out what sort of problems that they're actually encountering. Personal trainers generally are individuals. They're, not normally coming in as a group from any particular, as a company. So everyone has different perspective. If I'm speaking to a 20-year-old personal trainer, they've got totally different problems to a 42-year-old personal trainer. The older generation generally might not be using social media as much to gain a new audience. And the younger generation may be using social media but don't know how to gain a new audience. So they all came with totally different problems. You mentioned one way about being paid. Some people are paid in cash. Some people are paid in PayPal. I've had one personal trainer reach out and said, I'd like to start accepting Bitcoin. I've had other personal trainers say when new clients come on board, I sign them up via WhatsApp and there's no terms and conditions there. Other personal trainers say, how do I keep my clients motivated? So there's a whole breadth of problems. Speaking to them face to face, so this is always difficult, quite expensive to be walking into gyms every day, different gyms. And the other problem I've had with doing this is personal trainers, as a rule, so I found anyway, would normally have clients back to back. So starting out at 7 a.m, going right through till lunch. They then have that 20-minute, half hour, 1 hour window. And if they're normally training themselves, that they're hungry, so they want to eat at that time. They don't want to be talking to me. So, I've had problems in walking around and just speaking to trainers, and like with anything, when you've got a 2-minute window, it's really hard to find out what their problems are because their first instinct is you're selling to me.
Right.
So, but I've had some joy with it. But yeah, we still carry on. I don't mind knocking on doors.
That's great to hear. So you've mentioned a few times that you've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. So where do you think that came from? Have you always wanted to be sort of a startup founder?
Yes, I believe so without realizing it. So my father had his own, he was working a 9 to 5, and he had his own business as well. When I first went to university at the age of 19, I went in to study law and marketing. And the first university was economics, apologies. And at the age of 19 at university, I started a business there. I then, after 2 years, I was living away at the first university. My parents pulled me back home and said, look, you're just wasting time and money here. So stay at home and go. So I went to a second university, started a second business there. And there, it went from there, pulled out of that university. And since then, I've always been working for myself.
Right on. A part of the core tenets of the Startup Bootcamp that we have is building in public with your ideas. So what was your impression of that idea? Did that always excite you, or how did you feel about it?
Building in public. I thought I'd never been one for the camera. I feel like I've got a face for radio rather than TV. So building in public is quite difficult. And my family will attest to that point. I'm just generally not in any photographs at all. So was the rest of the family good behind the camera, not in front of it. So that was a challenging point. However, I tend to find that I thrive when my back's against the wall. So I come out fighting like that. So if that's what it takes and the position I've been put in, I've got no problem in, it's sink or swim for me with anything I do. So I like to win, so swimming's the way I go forward. So building in public has been difficult, but it does also keep you accountable. If you have to be doing certain things and you're out there, if I'm posting daily on Twitter, for example, I've started labeling my tweets day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. I can't cheat that. I can't ask Twitter to change their timestamps on the tweets. If they are what they are, I'm posting whenever I'm able to post.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And just like fitness, I guess consistency is rewarded in this game as well. So when I think about fitness and training, this group can be quite tribal. They're the CrossFit people. There are many different groups of trainers. So how do you think you're going to sort of break into this, each one? Are you targeting one group first, or what's your plan there?
So targeting face-to-face trainers first, so in a gym setting, and then online trainers with, in terms of, like you said, CrossFit trainers or strength trainers with resistance training. Still very similar problems they had because they all want to grow their business and they all deal with clients. So the type of training they do doesn't really matter to me too much. It's a matter of how do they get over the hurdle of more clients, newer clients, a longer tenure for the clients that they're working with. So what I want to do is, as everyone knows, the adoption of technology has just gone through the roof since COVID. So the idea of a face-to-face trainer using having online clients, having then clients globally. So if a personal trainer in any particular town, if you think about their a captive audience is probably within 5-mile radius. You're probably not going to find people traveling too far because everyone's busy nowadays and traveling in can take a long time, and no one has time anymore. So the idea is to help the face-to-face trainers with their problems, and then from there show them the benefits of actually using their time not more wisely, but using their time in a different way to actually look at online training and helping people globally. Instead of having a captive audience of 5 miles, they've got a captive audience of anyone online. So just showing them the benefits there. I'm speaking to some trainers who deal with online clients and face-to-face. They've got hundreds of customers and clients globally, whereas a face-to-face client may have, literally a handful maybe. So the idea is to start small, start in a niche, face-to-face trainers, wherever they are in their career, whether they just started, whether they're a veteran of the industry, and then eventually move in and then try and get to the next stage, online clients, and bring them all in.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm most familiar with sort of endurance sports like running and cycling. And in that space, because of the GPS watches and the easy trackability of the activity, people sort of scale their coaching or their training up globally quite easily because everybody's running and you get the same files no matter if you ran next door, if you ran halfway around the world from each workout. But with gym going, it seems a bit that face-to-face is much more important in that setting.
Yeah, I mean, what you'll find is online trainers nowadays, the good ones, what they'll do is that with your onboarding form, they'll not only ask you what you're doing on a daily basis, in terms of what type of work you do, whether you're sitting down, standing, how many steps you're doing, an idea of what you're eating, but they'll also ask you what type of equipment, again, this is in a gym environment, what type of equipment you're using and what that you have available to you. It could be stuff you've got at home, it could be the actual machines that are in the gym, and the good ones will be tailoring their program based on what you have available. That's the online side. Obviously, the face-to-face becomes a lot easier because they're helping their clients with the equipment that they've got around them.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will save a few questions for our next interview. We plan to have at least one, probably two, follow-up interviews with you, Sam. So it's been great to hear about your idea. Any reflections from the first week of the boot camp?
Really liked it. I mean, everyone at Paralect has just been amazing. They've left the door open for us to knock on virtually, but left the door open for us to knock on if we've got any questions. Again, didn't seem how silly the questions are. I'm not sure how many silly questions I've posted, but they've left the door open for us to ask anything. And the idea is that the impression I've got is that they're really here to help us grow as a founder and as a company. I understand only one of us would be lucky enough to have an MVP built, and I'm working towards being that company. But either or, I know that over the next 30 days of the month-long program, I will have grown. So I know that I'm getting huge benefit from being part of this cohort.
Awesome. Well, that's great to hear. We'll be sure to put links to your landing page and your social profiles in the description of this show and share it with the rest of our community when this goes live. So thank you so much. I hope you have a lovely Friday evening and a lovely weekend, Sam. See you next time.
Thank you for your time, John. Bye-bye.